Hello Vault Heads, this is the self-proclaimed, sarcastically named Captain KeyForge, also known as PJ Broughton of the Steel City Snufflegators. And welcome to this week's Captain's Commpod. So you may well have listened to last week's episode. I hope you did. Feel free to go and have a listen if you didn't. But in this week's Captain's Commpod, we are going to discuss upgrades and locations, which we haven't seen in the game yet as a card in their own right, but that have been mentioned in the flavour text of another card. Now, locations, certainly when they're turned into cards in their own right, tend to be done as artifacts, like for example World Tree, that is one. So the cards that I'm going to be looking at now are things that have mentioned in the flavour text of the cards that I think would either be upgrades or artifacts if they were actually brought into the game. And it's part 2. Last week was part 1, and we looked at an Archon and creatures that were mentioned on the flavour text of the cards. Again, just like last week, I am going to make it kind of like a game, so I will tell you the thing that's mentioned and you can try and guess the card. So on we go. So the first thing is the hinterlands. Okay, so on which card do you think the hinterlands are mentioned? Okay, and they are mentioned on the Saurian action card, Ostracize. Nothing that 8 years in the hinterlands can't fix. So that's a location. So that, if it was going to come into the game, would be an artifact. So, I mean, you get ostracized to the hinterlands, presumably. So, this, what could we do with this? Well, I was thinking maybe it could be action, remove one of your creatures, remove one of your opponent's creatures from play and put it under this artifact. If this artifact leaves play, all the creatures are put into play once more. Kind of like the creature that says you purge all the creatures from play and then put them back into play when that creature leaves play, which is a bit confusing, but that is what I would make the hinterlands do. So yeah, that's the hinterlands. Okay, so the next one is Hub City. So again, this is the location. Which card do you think Hub City appears on? Okay, so have a think. Okay, so Hub City appears on Ducillus. The flavour text of Ducillus says, everyone comes to Hub City eventually. Okay, so again, that's a location. So it would be an artifact. If I was going to try and do an artifact for Hub City, I mean, again, Hub City is mentioned in the role-playing game. It's mentioned in the books, the fiction. To me, it would be... I'd have it an artifact that was like Dark Amber Vault that could crop up in any house, because that would make the most sense. And then I would probably have it something along the lines of the way Dominator Bauble worked. Action, you may declare a creature to be a representative of any house this turn, something like that. So you can use it to house cheat a creature. That's what I would be looking for. So artifact across all houses, can pop up in any of them and allows you to use something else. So the next one is the last book. So on which card do you think the last book appears? So I think about it. Okay, so the last book appears on the Sanctum action card, The Spirit's Way. The flavour text on there is, the spirit is eternal, the flesh is weak. Let go the flesh, for your earthly strength is the great prison, from the last book. Okay, so again, I mean, the last book, we have Book of Malefaction as an artifact, so I suspect for me that the last book would equally be an artifact. Now, what would an artifact called the last book do that talks about maybe letting go of flesh? I think I'd want it to buff your own creatures rather than your opponent's creatures. Maybe it could apply a ward, a bit like Hologramophone, but I don't like just directly copying other cards that are in the game. Maybe it could be, if your opponent steals from you, ward a creature. Maybe something like that. That's a bit sank to me. So yeah, if I was going to do the last book, that's what I would do there. Okay, so the next thing is the Gate of Hope. So again, which card do you think the Gate of Hope is mentioned on? Have a think about it. I'll give you a second. Okay, so the Gate of Hope is mentioned in the flavour text of Doom of the Martyr, Sanctum Power 3 creature. The flavour text on there says, "Remember me," in quotation marks, a quote from Squire Doomer at the Battle for the Gate of Hope. Okay, so I mean, we do have city gates, if I remember rightly. There's an artifact in the game already with gates in it. I know there is. Now then, what could we have for an artifact with the word gate in it, where a battle's taken place? I mean, Sanctum Light Capturing, so maybe if you used a couple of Sanctum creatures this turn, capture 2, or action capture 1 for each Sanctum creature that's been played this turn or that's been used to fight this turn. That could be a good one. I mean, as well, bear in mind a battle happened here, maybe action capture based on fighting would be good. So that's what I'd say there. The next one is the Red Shroud. Okay, so which card, and it's only one, does the Red Shroud appear on? Have a think about it. Okay, so the Red Shroud appears on the Sanctum creature Bearing On, which is a power 5/2 armor creature, and the flavour text on there says, "The Red Shroud will defend the Crucible from the threat of Dark Ember." So it would be an upgrade or an artifact, that one for me, because we do have shoulder armor, so it could be an upgrade. This creature cannot be dealt damage by a mutant, by a creature with a mutant trait. I mean, again, the Red Shroud will defend against Dark Amber, so that would be make quite good sense. It could be upgrade. This creature cannot be damaged by a creature with amber on it. That would be another one. I mean, again, it's Dark Amber, but that would be different than anything we've already got in the game, or certainly is an upgrade anyway. There are card effects that have that kind of thing. So yeah, have a think about that one and what you'd like. So next one is Titan Fabrication Labs. Which flavour text does Titan Fabrication Labs appear on? Okay, so have a think about it. So Titan Fabrication Labs appears in the flavour text of Titan Librarian, Logos Creature, Power 4, and the flavour text says, "Titan Fabrication Labs building a bigger tomorrow." So again, that would be a location. Wherever we do have locations on cards, they tend to be artifacts rather than upgrades, so it would be an artifact. So let me see, I mean, to be fair, we've already got Rooftop Laboratory that makes scientists come into play ready. Maybe this could make cyborgs come into play ready, or I mean, it would be good maybe if they put it in and made it come with all the Titans or something, and all the Titans come into play ready. It could be quite flavourful like that. I mean, again, it builds Titans, or action, take a creature with the trait cyborg at your discard pile and put it into play, something like that. That could be good. Okay, so the next card that we're going to talk about is Quantum Death Ray. So Quantum Death Ray appears in the flavour text of a card. Which card is that one on? Okay, and Quantum Death Ray is on Bot Buckton. Okay, so the flavour text on Bot Buckton says, "Look Momo, now I have a Quantum Death Ray tool." So yeah, I mean, for me that one would be an upgrade, not an artifact. I mean, it could be an artifact. We do have a Crazy Killing Machine artifact, but I don't know, I just think it's something that a creature would carry, so I would choose it as an upgrade, and I would have it as upgrade. This creature gains action, destroy your creature. So instead of reaping, you could action destroy a creature. That would work quite well. I mean, it's Quantum Death Ray, or it could be an artifact that worked a bit like Crazy Killing Machine, but specifically at creatures. So Crazy Killing Machine is action, reveal a card, destroy a creature or artifact. So then maybe this could be action, destroy a creature. That would work quite well. So yeah, either an artifact that destroys creatures or an upgrade that gets attached to other creatures that allows them to destroy creatures would be quite good for that one. So now we're going to move on to the next one, which is Titus Coronam. So on which card do you think Titus Coronam is mentioned in the flavour text? Okay, and it is mentioned on City State Interest, which is a Saurian action card, and it says, "Titus Coronam has the greatest monuments in the Republic and the highest taxes. Okay, so I mean, to me that one, Library of Polyosaurus, is a location and is an artifact. This to me would be an artifact. It has the highest taxes. Well, that's just begging to be key taxed then, isn't it, really, with if it has high taxes. So it could be your opponent's keys cost +1 for every saurian creature in play. That could be good. That would work quite well. Also as well, it gives your opponent a bit of agency to deliberately try and kill your saurian creatures to get rid of them. I quite like that. That's what I would have Titus Coronam as. I would have it as an artifact that increased key cost, probably increased key cost by 1 for each saurian creature in play, or maybe reciprocal for both of you. So the next location is Messeterranean Sea. So on which card do you think the Messeterranean Sea is mentioned? Have a think about that one. Okay, now then, that is mentioned on the saurian creature Charybdis, which is a power 7 creature. Okay, and the flavour text on there says, exile to the Mesoterranean Sea is often considered a death sentence. Okay, so I mean, again, it would be an artifact probably based on destroying or purging. I mean, it does say this, exile to there is considered a death sentence, so maybe it would be action, purge a creature from a discard pile. It doesn't do the killing, because you know the creature gets sent there, but if they get sent there they get destroyed. So maybe the discard pile is the equivalent of the Messeterranean Sea, and the purging is the death sentence. So yeah, there are a few more in this week's one than last week's, which is why I'm sort of having to think about what I think they'd all do. But that would be a fun card. I think it would be good, not too good. So that's my suggestion for that one. Okay, so the next one is something that appears on 2 cards, and it's the Messeterranean Isles, not the Messeterranean Sea. So which cards do you think the Messeterranean Isles is on? There's 2, have a guess. Okay, and that is on Exile, which is a saurian action card, and the flavour text on there says, you, Marinius, are henceforth banished to the Messeterranean Isles on pain of death, be gone. And it is also mentioned on Scylla, the one that's sort of paired with Charybdis, and that says attempt no landing on the Messeterranean Isles. So I mean, you get exiled there, and also they're a very dangerous place to land on apparently. Maybe it could be an artifact that says something along the lines of each enemy creature that enters play takes a damage on entering play, or something like that, because the Messeterranean Isles are in play and are damaging all the creatures that arrive. I know that's similar to one that's already in the game, so maybe you could buff it slightly. Every creature that's not a saurian maybe, or every creature that's not a dinosaur, or something specific like that. But yeah, I think that could be good. So the next card that we could potentially see is the Sanctified Scroll. Okay, so where do you think the Sanctified Scroll is mentioned? I'll tell you, this is on 3 cards. Okay, so first of all, it's on Double Doom. They who deal with the demons are twice cursed. The Sanctified Scroll. So that's what Double Doom says. It is also featured on Honourable Claim. As your spirit is holy, so Amber, which is the spirit of the earth, is holy. The Sanctified Scroll. And finally, it is also finished on Shula as well. Demons only take, never give. The Sanctified Scroll. Okay, so it mentions demons twice, that they take and they don't give, and that people who deal with demons are cursed. Every time you play a creature with the demon trait, lose an amber, because you're cursed if you deal with them and they only take and they never give. That could fit with that card text. And amber's holy as well, so you're playing something that's not holy, so you have to lose an amber to play it. That's what I would do there. Okay, so that was all of them. That was all the things that are featured in the flavour text, which I think could make upgrades or artifacts. I hope you like this sort of two-part Commpod that I've done. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for staying with me to the end of another one. I'd love to hear your thoughts about what I said, what you'd like to see, what you think these cards could do. You can comment on Facebook, Twitter, email, YouTube. You can like, you can subscribe, you can follow on the podcast. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can support my content through Patreon if you want to help me do a few more deck openings on stream, or provide you with some custom tokens, which I'm in the process of looking at. But thank you for your company, and may the forge be with you.